everybody. Welcome back to Around the Emirates podcast with Sara Mousa, where I speak to guests from across UAE about topics you want to hear about. Today, I'm joined by the lovely Lynsay Kilbane, who is founder of the Mama Consultancy, a really cool company that trains super excellent staff to support in high net worth homes of individuals. Please tell me your story, Lynsay. This is such an interesting concept that you've created.
Hi, Sarah. First of all, thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor. So a little bit about me and how I got started. So I am a professional British governess. I've been in the industry for 15 years. 5 years ago, I moved over to the UAE for the second time, based in Abu Dhabi, which is my real home, as I call it. And I've been working for the most incredible family here. But as I've spent time here, I noticed a real gap in the industry for high quality staff. A nanny in the UAE is very different to what we call a nanny in the UK, for example. And so I wanted to really be able to add value to families, to children, and just really make an impact. So I started the Mama Consultancy, and we specialize in placing high quality staff into particularly ultra high net worth households. So that's nannies, governesses, butlers, chefs, house managers, private full-time masseuses, full-time teachers in a private home, pretty much anything you can think of. We supply. That's what we kind of specialize in.
That is amazing for you to have brought that experience over to the UAE in such a cool way. I mean, you're not just talking about kind of like a maid or a nanny. You're talking about like the whole full service stuff. I mean, to bring something like that into such a different culture, such as the UAE, such as Abu Dhabi, as you said, must have been extremely interesting, but also must have come with some challenges.
It's funny. So I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. It's in my blood. I've been, inventing businesses since I was 8. And I always I never really found something that really lit me up. It wasn't my passion. And then I thought, well, I love nannying. I love the industry. I feel really passionate about making the change in the UAE in particular, and not just UAE, all across the Middle East. I have clients worldwide, but I'm predominantly in the UAE, in the Middle East. And so, for me, actually, I naturally fell into it. The biggest hurdle was probably just having the confidence to go from being behind the scenes in somebody's house to actually putting on a CEO hat and turning it into a business and having the confidence to do that.
See, that's a very interesting take on it. I mean, for people, usually it's you have a kind of business idea, but like they don't really know where to start in terms of like putting, pen to paper and pursuing a passion. But it's interesting that you already had the passion there. It was already like you knew because you'd been so close to it already behind the scenes, you knew how to fit the pieces together, like the mechanics of what it is like to be a nanny, but to actually become a CEO and create a company. That's really interesting. And what would you feel has been something that kind of surprised you in this process, or something that made you think, wow, like this was actually way different than what I thought it would be?
I think recruitment is very difficult. I think I've always underestimated how difficult recruitment is, how long the process is, and also the pressure of finding someone who is amazing that you can trust to go into a client's home, because my clients are very special to me. We have such a trusting relationship, and it's really important that I put somebody just superb. I don't want to put just your average nanny in. I don't want that. I want somebody, a superstar, somebody outstanding.
I see. And you bring me to a really interesting question here as well. What do you look for in your staff? Like, what are kind of the like non-negotiable like qualities that you absolutely have to see in each person that you hire?
I think the main one top is attitude. You can be hugely qualified. You can have an amazing CV. I mean, some nannies I interview have, multiple degrees, masters, experience here, there, and everywhere, but it's your attitude, because you are essentially fitting into somebody else's lifestyle. You have to match the parents' attitude in the way they raise their children. You have to have a sunny disposition. You have to be able to wear many hats. Yes, have boundaries, but you also need to be very flexible.
Very interesting. So you just made a good point about not being able to, like, if somebody has to have a good attitude, and that's not necessarily something you can teach, right? Like somebody has to have a strong work ethic. But there are a lot of qualities that I understand that you teach through another project that you have coming on, right?
Yes. So something else I'm super excited about It's a new project of mine. It's going to be called the Nanny Academy. And what I'm going to be doing is focusing on helpers, housekeepers, cleaners, who we call nannies in the Middle East, but I wouldn't necessarily call them a professional nanny. So what I want to do is take these lovely ladies, train them, and it's a one-of-a-kind training coaching program over 6 weeks. It's an online course that gets drip fed throughout the week. It's an hourly coaching call. It's an in-person first aid qualification. And at the end of the cohort, you're a professional nanny, and you've learned, skills from a British governess, skills that really matter inside the home, things that are not necessarily taught in a college, for example. So I'm really excited for that. And I think it's going to make such a huge impact on families, on the children, on the helpers' families back home. I'm very, very excited about it.
I'm very excited for you and congratulations on it. That sounds like it's a really cool project that fully complements this current company as well. And that's what I love about speaking to awesome CEOs just like yourself, entrepreneurs like yourself, is always looking for like the next business idea that also complements what you're doing and is something that is an add-on that can also continue to drive positive change in the community. So I love that for you. And that brings me to my next question. Obviously, with someone with such rich experience as yourself, there must have been a little bit of a funny behind the scenes experience you must have gone through.
I would say there are quite a few. I have got NDAs with most clients, so I can't really share them. But I do sometimes get some very funny requests. So another part of the Mama Consultancy is actually a concierge service that I offer. So it's a luxury concierge for mamas and children. And I had a request one day to find a very exotic type of bird in the UAE. And this gentleman, he was joking about it. And I said, well, actually, I think I'm the person who can help you. And I did. I found this specific, particular, very rare bird in the UAE. And that was the end of that. So that's a cool story that I like.
I never thought I'd see the day where somebody would ask for a cool bird for fun from their service kind of company, but that's a very
Nor did I.
Oh, that's awesome. But hey, I mean, it does put you in a situation where you have to think outside the box to
Yeah.
service the clients. That's awesome. I've learned so much from talking to you, Lynsay. I can see all the passion and ambition that you have for something that is a very rare type of company. I mean, I'm privileged enough to speak to you because in the 3 years I've been doing this, I've never spoken to somebody who has the type of business that you have. So it's been really cool talking to you. I'd love to hear one last word of advice you have for listeners, whether from a professional or personal perspective. What words of wisdom do you want to leave with them today?
I would say, particularly for people based in the UAE, is if you have an idea, if you have a dream, go for it, because it can change your whole life. And not just your life. We live in a region which is very young and it's up and coming and things are changing all the time. And there are so many unique problems. And we live in a country that is open to solutions. So if you have an idea, go for it. It's the best place in the world right now.
I love that. And it's so simple yet so impactful. Like you don't consider people are usually too scared to take the first step of creating their own company because they're worried about the risk. But what is life without taking the risks, especially if you're passionate about it, Sam? I mean, if you do your research, if you know the behind the scenes as you do with being a kind of a governess, then that is the kind of key to the first steps of success, being able to take that knowledge and invest in that to create your own company. So I love that. What
100%.
simple advice. I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
Simple
awesome.
but powerful.
Simple but powerful. That's what we like. So this is why I like you on the show. Simple but powerful, because you never know when the smallest word of advice could actually make the biggest difference in your life.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Lynsay, for being on the show today. I really appreciate hearing your story, hearing everything that you have to offer, and I'm just excited to see where this academy goes. I mean, I will definitely be following you and seeing what it's all about.
Yes, please do. I'll reach out when it launches, and I'd love to stay in touch.
Oh, we can do round two. I'll keep an eye out for you. Thanks,
Okay.
Lynsay. Take care.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sarah. Take care.